When all is said and done, what will you say? Will you say that you shifted expectations or the ground shifted beneath your feet?
Hello, welcome to PanelCast episode 16, Risky Business. See what I did there? Funny. Craig Sheridan joins us today. Craig started off his career as the New South Wales Police Force Commander back in 2016 in charge of major events and incidents group. He has been a senior advisor on the G20 in Saudi Arabia. He's been involved with Vivid for many, many years. He also does Mardi Gras. He's done the Tamworth Music Festival. Basically, any huge event in Australia, Craig has been all over it. Craig now runs Sheridan Consulting. We have an amazing chat with Craig, very insightful. It's amazing to see what the security and risk sector of our industry is doing. I hope you enjoy episode 16, Risky Business. Welcome to episode 16 with Craig. Hello, Craig.
Hey, Hayley, how are you?
Good. And CT as well, my trusty co-host.
G'day. How's it going?
CT. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, mate,
All
thanks for
good
coming.
on this very chilly winter day.
It is very...
Craig, how we usually start it off is we have a little icebreaker question.
Yep.
So this is not about your expertise. This is more so just what has been your favorite event of all time, or is there an event that you are just desperate to get to?
Look, a really good question, Hayley. I think, I enjoy working on events right across the board. Over the last couple of years, we've worked on, Sail GP, America's Cup, Vivids, Mardi Gras, G20 in Saudi Arabia. So they all bring their different intricacies, their different details, which we love, and different stakeholders, because we really like working with people. But probably overall would be Vivid Sydney, I would say, because I've been working on it for so long. I was working on it when I was actually in the police force, and then since I've retired and come out of the police force and run my own company, and it's it holds a special meaning to me, and I really enjoy the event every year. It's free, it's open. We're dealing with a couple of million people, so there's lots of things to deal with, in the event, a lot of challenges, and it's a really good bunch of people. So yeah, I like working with Destination New South Wales.
It is an incredible event, and I'm looking forward to it coming back this year.
Yes.
We will get to that a bit later, because I'm sure it's coming back in just a slightly different format, which I'm looking forward to hearing about.
Yeah.
So what's been your highlight then of the Vivids? You've been working on it for so many years.
Just to see, 2.3 million people we had coming in pre-COVID, in 2000.
Yeah, right.
And just to see how successful that event was, and then the challenges since the pandemic, and bringing people back, certainly into Sydney, where we're off and running from the 6th of August to the 29th of August, so the month of August, running really comprehensive C4 structure, so a police operations centre, government coordination centre and strategic command, and then an ECC on the ground, different levels of service, different nights. So it's really exciting to be coming up and working on it again. So
usually I would get our listeners to hear about your career, but I think we might just jump forward, and we'll go back to your career in a sec. With Vivid, what changes are you seeing this year?
We've pulled back the footprint a little bit. We're certainly seeing more activations in Darling Harbour, which is an area where we can manage crowds better. But, we don't have the light walk this year through the gardens, but we certainly have it around the rocks and Circular Quay, and there's lots of new attractions and installations. So we're working closely with health, we're working closely with police and all our other stakeholders, certainly landholders, Property New South Wales, Place Management, to ensure that it's safe, successful, and as safe for people coming in as it can be.
And what do you reckon is like I don't know if you can do a percentage breakdown of, in the past, it's been about vehicle mitigation, or hostile vehicle mitigation, I should say. And obviously now we have this new threat of COVID.
Yeah.
As sort of the what's your position? Is it risk advisor?
Yes, yeah, risk and security advisor. So, and we run the strategic risk review for the event. So we have a look at all contractors, landowners, their risk assessments, and we go through them. We identify if there's a major risk that's of concern to the event owner, being Destination New South Wales, and we present that to the board. We show, in detail a mitigation strategy against that risk, and then we see if Destination New South Wales are happy to live with that residual risk outcome after the controls are put in or not. And if not, we eliminate that risk. So going back to your question, certainly COVID safety. The COVID safe planning is our number one risk for this event. And that includes our crowd management strategy as well. But HVM is still always there because the amounts of people we're expecting to come in. So, yeah, the HVM plan is still very comprehensive as well. And we're working with, our traffic managers, New South Wales Police traffic management as well, to make sure it's safe and secure for everyone to come through.
And that was sorry, you go, CT.
No, yeah, I was just going to say that, and we probably touched on this before, Craig, in chats, mate, but, we're obviously talking about COVID, and COVID is obviously in the headlines, and it's everyone's number one thought. However, is it the number one risk or thought in your minds as to, the sorts of things that you'll really think that are critical and could be major, to an event like that, of that size?
Yes, it's a good question, CT, but it's absolutely critical to the event. That we get the exemption to hold the event in the current health order.
Yep.
And to do that, we need a really detailed COVID safe plan. So we can contact trace people at QR coding as they come through. Remember, this event is not with a perimeter or fence. It's an open, free and public event where people come in. So we have to work together with our stakeholders, transport. We have to know how many people are coming in. We have to have a detailed crowd management plan, how we move them around our footprint. So shorter dwell times at installations so people keep moving.
Yep.
They maintain their social distancing. We have sanitisation stations. It's safe as can be in a COVID environment. And we have to show this evidence to health to make sure we get the event up and running.
Is this the biggest event in New South Wales, potentially Australia, that's been a public event, apart from, I believe, Mardi Gras, but I would say, isn't Vivid going to be larger than that?
Yes, Vivid will be larger people-wise, certainly, coming through over the 23 nights.
Yes, okay.
Over that period of time. Yep. Maybe not per night, like Mardi Gras and, a normal night would attract over 300,000 people to that Oxford Street.
Well, you did Mardi Gras this year, didn't you, at the SCG?
We did. And our contingency there was to have it at the Sydney Cricket Ground, where we can manage people through a managed access. The Sydney Cricket Ground's COVID safe plan, we use that, for people seated in the stadium. And then we manage COVID safety for the events. Will be the groups and the build-up at the front before we brought through the different parade groups. So, again, that was done really, really well, and everyone was really compliant, and the crowds had a wonderful night. It was a really successful night for Sydney. But certainly Mardi Gras will have the intention to return to their spiritual home in Oxford Street, as they normally do, and that will come in 2022, and we're already started pre-planning for that now.
Yeah, right.
I was just going to ask you, mate, before you move on from Vivid, you were talking about reducing dwelling periods and things like that. And has that sort of affected any of the art installations and the style of what they've been able to do, and maybe shortening up some of the programs, and so people are continually moving through? Has that affected any of the actual?
Yeah, we don't think it's affected in any way.
No, not so much affected, but you know what I mean? Like it's had a bearing on,
Yeah, but we know we can't have people standing around watching.
And staring at a long
minutes and minutes on end. It's a bit like, I talked to, Travis Simmons, who's doing the crowd plans a bit. It's a bucket of water that, if when it's full, it's full. And if people keep coming in or the tap's still on, the bucket overflows. We've got too many people here.
Yep.
Right. So we've got to manage that. We've got to keep people moving through the footprint and move them safely out of the footprint as more people come in via the transport hubs, via ferries, via trains, via the trams, and people parking and walking as well. So there's a lot of different considerations.
And sorry to interrupt you, but I heard from a little birdie that potentially Vivid is using AI to manage crowds or to monitor crowds, I should say. And did Mardi Gras do that as well?
No, Mardi Gras didn't use it at the Sydney Cricket Ground as such.
Yeah.
But we will be using it definitely for Vivid this year. It's called dynamic crowd measurement, and it works with the CCTV, makes the CCTV smart CCTV, and it will show us how crowds are moving, density of crowds. We'll be able to view those dashboards in the command and control centres, being up at Surrey Hills and also on the ground down the rocks in our ECC. So police, Department of Premier and Cabinet, Destination New South Wales will be able to see where our conglomeration of people are, where the crowd build-up points are, and then we can send resources to move those crowds, to get them moving, to move them on, seeing where we need to put our resources to make a better flowing, free-flowing crowd, and certainly give us pre-warning before there's any, crowd convergence.
Are you just looking at dynamics, the flow dynamics and whatnot there, Craig, or are you is the system able to look at behaviour as well and start to see, emotional and anger?
Great point. So it does measure dynamics and it also measures mood. Okay, so the CCTV cameras work on faces, and stress of faces, and it can measure mood. So if people are in a panicky situation, it will come up. It will let us know in the control room the mood of the crowd. If they're happy, flowing through, it'll also show us that as well.
If you're getting aggression, so you've got risk.
Technology, and we're really, really keen to work with Travis and the ACES Group team with the DCM. So we're looking forward to it. We think it'll be a really great tool and help to us for managing large crowds like this.
And just to clarify, when we're talking about artificial intelligence, this isn't actually collecting people's data. It's not necessarily picking up who that person is. No. It's actually for crowd safety, right? So it's actually just a computer is able to pick up the emotions of someone and also what their natural behavior might be once something happens to them, how they will then move. And the data that has been picked up, I'm going to assume that's from, years of data of different events and how many. Yeah,
it's obviously all inputted into the computer system. But it's more like, faces and how you would react. But the actual data, the analytics pick up how people move, the rate at which they move, whether they stop or not. So we will know the density, the crowd density, as they move through the different areas. And if we think it's getting to a certain percentage where it's getting a bit uncomfortable, well, we can deploy resources to manage that area and stay ahead of the curve. Instead of being reactive, we're being proactive using this technology.
It's so exciting.
Yes.
I think it's fascinating. I love, if anyone listens to me for more than 5 minutes, I talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence quite a lot these days. And I was so excited to hear that this has been used as part of one of our biggest events in Australia, and in a really positive way as well. Something that, I say a few years ago when I went to Vivid, I remember going to look at Custom House and it was really packed. And to know that you can go somewhere and it's not going to be like that is actually really refreshing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At least it gives us the tools to manage the crowd. No matter what situation we're faced with. We have to deal with it. And things happen, during a night, people come in large numbers, but if that happens, we'll be ahead of the curve to be able to deploy resources to manage it.
That's great.
And we're working very closely with the emergency services on this. So, this is done as a collaborative group. We have working groups in relation to marine, transport, crowd and security, traffic and HVM. So all these groups are looking at the minute details and working through it to bring it all together under a robust C4 structure.
And utilising technology that's there to help us, right?
The way to go.
Absolutely.
Are you using any other tech pieces like mesh or any of those sorts of guys that have the pieces that can bounce off phones and whatnot, so you can get the dynamic?
We've looked at numbers, certainly with mobile phones and the numbers of people coming in, so we can count numbers coming into the area, and we've used that in previous years. But the DCM is our key technology piece for Vivid this year.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, but those other MASH, those other tools you speak of, they're all invaluable tools for crowd counting and for us to stay ahead of the curve, and that's what it's all about. Making sure that we know what we've got on site, what the numbers are, what our capacities are, our square meterage, to make sure, we know we can safely manage that amount of people in that space.
That's great.
Time.
Awesome. No, Craig, we still haven't got to your career, but I'm going to go right back to the beginning. You
I don't want to go that far back.
have been in risk and security since 1986. Is that correct?
Yes. I joined the police force then as a fresh-faced probationary constable back then. And worked to 2015 till my retirement, December 2015. And since then, I commenced my own company. And, we've really enjoyed the last 5-6 years.
You were the New South Wales Police Commander for major events and mass gatherings.
Yes, I was Commander State Planning Unit, Major Events and Incidents Group.
Did you have any favourite events then, or was it Vivid was the number one back then?
All New Year's Eve, supercars events, major sporting events were all great fun events to work on. New Year's Eve's a big one, but it's different than Vivid because people come in, they sit, wait, they celebrate the fireworks, they leave. When you get over 1 million people do that, there's certainly a lot of challenges.
Now, we had beers a few months ago, and you mentioned Tamworth Music Festival. Were you working on that one?
That is one of my favourites. Yes, the boot scooting up at Tamworth. I'm working with the local community up there.
Yeah. So did you work on the event?
Yes, I did, with New South Wales Police.
Yeah.
And since with the great team up there with local council, the mayor, and certainly the local police command, area command up there do a great job with their local community. And they welcome up to 40,000 visitors, into Tamworth.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, so it's an incredible fun event. But again, a lot of challenges. You've got multiple venues, you've got street closures, HVM.
Yeah, people travelling from all over the country too.
All over the country, dragging, towing caravans and all sorts of things. It's just a fun couple of weeks.
And so back when you were at the New South Wales Police Force, there was obviously some major risk and security issues back then. Yeah. What have you seen sort of the main changes from then to now on changes that have made a positive impact to these events?
Look, I think, going right back to the Sydney 2000 Olympics, I think positive impact is about collaboration. The more we
work on the Olympics as well.
Oh yeah, I was a live site supervisor at the time.
You've literally worked on every cool event in the country.
Yeah, that was a cool event.
Yeah,
very, very happy event. But certainly collaboration, detailed threat and vulnerability assessments, detailed risk management planning. We've certainly evolved over the years. We've got better. Our command and control structure has got better. We've engaged more stakeholders and we work more as teams. And certainly, New South Wales Police Force has been at the forefront in leading that throughout the years. And I take my hat off to them, the great work they've done. In relation to
there's no I in team, right? The old saying,
that's
there's
right.
no I in team, and the more relationships you build, all of these. I mean, we've found throughout COVID, there's been a massive change in our industry and within the wider marketing industry as well, is that people have started collaborating and working better together, and that's been really positive.
Absolutely. And all the states and territories, we work together, with international agencies, our Commonwealth, federal agencies, our friends there in a lot of jobs. We looked after, we're doing work on the America's Cup over in Auckland earlier this year, which was great. We were doing a lot of work in the Middle East at the moment. So, it's all good. It's all about working together and taking those principles away. Yeah. And the other thing I can say certainly is the technology. That's come a long way over the years to make it easier for us, with our CCTV, our platforms we use for command and control now, our messaging, all that type of thing, to be able to get instant messages out there, instant task deployment, to get out on the ground to evolve to any incident as it may occur.
Yeah. And I have to say, sorry, Alice.
No, that's all right.
I was going to say, I'd have to say on that, we were talking about things that have changed, and obviously we're always trying to think about how we can enhance the experience for spectators and for consumers. And obviously risk has become a much bigger thing, but that technology has also freed it up to be able to the experience to continue to be able to be as free flowing as it can be. Vivid could be shut down by fences and all sorts of whatnot to be able to control it. However, you're going to now, with technology, using AI to be able to better control it, which is not restricting the experience and whatnot. So I think it's amazing to see that those things are being brought into it and been able to keep the experience or enhance it even over the previous years. And it gets better, as we go, which is great.
Yeah, you're spot on, CT. It's just come so far along the track. There are events that we do need to have perimeters and manage access. There are. It's a horses for courses thing. So again, it's about, to start off, we really need that sound pillar or to underpin with a solid risk management plan, strategic risk register to have a look at all those key risks, how we can control them, and will we live with that residual risk outcome or not? That's what it's all about, and then as part of that is the collaboration piece.
And sorry, I was going to go back to just on the technology.
I thought you were going back to boot scooting.
There's another side of technology, is the social media. Do you think that makes your life as risk and security expert easier or harder?
Easier.
Easier?
We can get out messages via social.
Yep.
If we need people to come a certain way, if there's, say we had a train stop or an incident in a certain area, we can get messages out instantly to tell people to take another route.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
all our comms teams now, whether it's a whole of government comms team, use social media as a tool to get their message across. What we need to get to the public instantly to their phones, they're all carrying them. We can get out and say, look, this is a great way to come. Don't go that way. This area is full. Maybe you'd like to go and look at another area. All those type of things, messages. And also, for law enforcement to monitor, social media. There's key words where we can monitor if there's a threat or risk that may come up, which would give us a heads up in that field as well. So, there is pros and cons with social media, but I really think it's a positive. And we've got to work with it. It is the way.
Oh, absolutely. It is the way of the world, isn't it? So
the way of the world.
We'll just go with it.
Yeah, let's make it positive.
That's actually really good to hear. Great insight there.
Bailey, let's make it positive. Let's make it work for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Now, we have done this PanelCast backwards because we still haven't explained to our listeners or viewers what it is that you do and what Sheridan Consulting does.
Yep. Okay, thanks. So Sheridan Consulting, I established the company in late 2015 upon my retirement from the police force. We're a strategic risk management, emergency management, security, threat and vulnerability assessments for major stakeholders and events. So besides all the events we work on globally, we also, we conduct penetration tests for ASX 200 companies. We tell them what their risk and security posture and profile is, and we write recommendations for them. It could be ports, it could be business events, it could be major, on our supply chains, food, all that type of thing, to make sure they've got a really strong risk posture. And we identify any risks and then we mitigate against that. We tell them how to mitigate against that. So, for instance, we could be 1 week working on a Salesforce World Tour event, in San Francisco, and then another month we'll be working in Singapore at the Sports Hub on an event, or working on events in the Middle East, of large gatherings there. I'm a risk and safety consultant for new city developments, both in the Middle East and developments here. So we also write crime prevention through environmental design.
Yep. So you had a bit of a backup during COVID.
Sorry?
You had a backup during COVID.
Yes.
When events went quiet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Smart man.
Yeah, it never really went quite for us,
Yeah.
We certainly pivoted to that side. And then we helped, we looked to writing COVID safe plans, which we do now for events coming back. We wrote the plan for the Yours and Ours Festival, back in March, which we got 14,000 people there, kids there, had a great weekend down there, and all was safe and secure. So we'll go right from that to an America's Cup to a big event for imagination in Saudi or UAE. So
what events are you seeing coming back more then through your company?
Look, I think events are really starting to come back on the board again. Certainly the big ones like Vivids, the Anzac Days, in some form or another.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like obviously they have to look at those key COVID risk and reduce in some capacity, and whether they want to wear that risk. And it's about working with their local health authorities. Health are the experts in pandemics, and they will tell us what will work, what may work, and what won't work. So we've just got to take that advice, offer suggestions how we can, come to the pillars of social distancing and sanitisation and moving people, crowd management, and work closely with our stakeholders to manage and be successful in that.
Sorry, Seats, I thought you were about to say something there.
No.
Thank you, Craig. That was a really good oversight of Sheridan Consulting, because it's sometimes often, I suppose, for people that are in smaller events or brand activations or more sort of online virtual, they don't necessarily always have to understand or go through the process of risk and security.
That's right.
But obviously, it's just such a huge, impactful element of our industry. It was really good to get such a great overview of what's happening at the moment, and also to hear from your experience.
Yeah, and we even write compliance plans for data centres. That will give you an idea.
What was that?
We write compliance and security plans for data centres.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so that gives you the idea of the complexity. We do a lot of that stuff for Commonwealth government. And so we're doing a lot of different things on that security and risk and threat and vulnerability piece. Yep. That can be overlaid, whether it's a facility, a venue, an event, or an idea. So we work with our stakeholders, right across the board.
Incredible. And so I know we have to wind up, but just quickly, what event are you looking forward to?
Which event am I looking forward to?
Either just attending or to going to at some point in the future.
I'd love to get over to Expo in Dubai at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'd love to get there. We're just going to see how the borders look at the moment.
Yep. Get a vaccine. Cross your fingers.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had that, which is good. I put my hand up.
Perfect.
I've had the first jab.
Great.
But certainly looking forward to Vivid. I'm looking forward to New Year's Eve in Sydney.
Yeah.
All our big springtime events.
I'm looking forward to checking out the AI.
Yes.
Vivid will be great.
Please come down, CT, and have a look at the
Oh, we'd love to.
We could show you how it works. And
love to. That'd be amazing.
We're heading to Sydney Solstice next week, which is another new event by Destination New South Wales. So I'm looking forward to
that. Will be a fantastic event. Yeah, DNSW and Tourism Australia are great organisations, and they're really doing their best to bring back events.
Oh, they're doing a fantastic job. And actually, we're finding it with all the governments and councils are being really supportive of it. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Yes, 2021. Finally, we got to June, and things are looking up. Which
absolutely. Onward and upward. And we just work with the authorities, health. That's the key.
Yep.
And bring them back safely and securely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries.
Have a lovely rest of the week. Good luck with Vivid, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Craig.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye. Bye.
When all is said and done, what will you say? Will you say that you shifted expectations, or the ground shifted beneath your feet?
Thanks again for joining us today for episode 16 with Craig Sheridan. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them in to myself or to Chris, haley.mason@the-shift.agency. Also like us on Facebook, ask to join the group, The Shift Panelcast. We'll see you next time.